First of all, welcome everybody, and to make introductions for some of our very special people. First, I'd like to start with our board of directors. We have 2 members tonight. 3 others were either on vacation or had some surgery being done, so they weren't able to make it. First, I'd like to have Jim Pieri stand up. He's our vice president. Jerry Reprop is our CFO treasurer. He is the guy that makes sure that every penny that gets spent is spent properly. So he's got a real big job. In addition to that, I would like to welcome the police department. We have in the back here, he's going to be speaking in a minute. This is Captain Del Toro. These are the community officers. And Tom. Tom is new to our community, I believe, the process is. He's involved in volunteers, senior volunteers throughout the area, going through making sure that there is a police presence, and I think a number of other things that Captain can tell us in just a minute. Staff-wise, I'd like to introduce Corey Showalter. We have Javier in the back. And directly APD speaking in a moment. Stacia Ramirez. I don't know if everyone knows Stacia. She's fairly new to us here. Right now, she's taking over for Claudia while she's on medical leave. We're sorry that Claudia couldn't be here. One nice thing about Claudia, she just finished all of her education, so she's now a certified California community manager. So she just finished that. From Republic Services, Tammy and Melissa, and they're also going to be speaking about all the fun stuff as it regards to waste, organic waste, right? Yeah. What I'd like to start off with is our mission statement. We like to start this every time we have one of these meetings. And the SMA mission statement is to preserve and enhance the quality of life and sense of community through efficient, effective management of the association, the maintenance of its common areas, enforcement of rules and covenants, safety of its residents, and capital improvements that combine to preserve property values and provide the highest benefit and greatest good for the community and its residents. We already talked, you've already met the board of directors that we do have here. This community is really made up of 3 groups. That's the Santaluz Club, which is an equity private community golf and service club. Santaluz Community Council, you'll be hearing about that a little bit later in the presentation. And the Santaluz Maintenance Association. And within the Santaluz Maintenance Association, we have our Aesthetics Council that handles all of our design review approvals. The Standards Committee, they make sure that all the fines, they listen to people, and if there are fines that need to be adjudicated, they listen and adjudicate appropriately. We have our Emergency Preparedness Committee. Nick is on that. I think we have a number of other members here tonight. You raise your hand. These guys are great volunteers. Thank you. We also have a new ad hoc committee, which is Safety and Technology. That's headed up by Alan Tagnata, who happens to be on vacation as well. With that, I'd like to introduce Captain Del Toro. Captain Del Toro, we met, I don't know, a few months ago. October. We participated in one of his meetings, community meetings, and got to know him. And he's been a fantastic resource for us, as well as just a true partner in every way. I don't know if everyone has seen all, the additional cars that have been coming through the community. I mean, the presence within our community has just gone up extraordinarily. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And that's because of Captain Del Toro. And with that, he's just going to share some of the things that are going on in the community, some of the crime information, whatever else you'd like to tell us.
Thank you very much. So I'll tell you a little bit about our area and some of the challenges we're facing and what's being done. And the first thing I want to say is you're definitely in good hands with this group here. That your association is definitely doing a good job of having us here, keeping us posted. We're spreading information. We have a good liaison with Javier, the security director. So we have a huge area. Probably it's the second biggest area within the city of San Diego to cover. 44 square miles, just under that. We go all the way from Torrey Pines State Beach. If you come out east over near Del Norte High School, and then right around there is the cutoff. It goes into the sheriff's area. On the south end, we have the western part of Mira Mesa Boulevard, and it goes up north over to just on the exit to off of where you get to the fairgrounds. Well, which exit is that? Via de la Valle, yeah. So we go up in that area. So we have a big area. If I had you guess how many officers we have out there working right now, you'd probably, jaws would drop for many. So you probably already know, or you may have heard it. So right now, we're fully staffed. We have 28 patrol officers that's the 7-day-a-week coverage, 24 hours a day, but fully staffed. We only have 4 officers for that area. So if you 4 officers and 1 sergeant. So we spread them out. We put each officer in a patrol car, and we give them sectors to keep an eye on. And we definitely are spread pretty thin. So, and I'll take this time to introduce Tom. So Tom, one of the things, the resources that we use is our retired senior volunteers. They do a tremendous job in helping us out. They're extra eyes and ears. And they were definitely showing off their investigative skills with some of the problems we have. The key problem that we're facing, luckily, we have not had a burglary since December 28th. So knock on wood on that. We haven't had any burglaries in this community. I want to say since the middle part of last year, where we were getting hit really hard. That group has been taken into custody. That was an organized theft group, not the South American theft group that you may have been hearing about. This was a copycat group, some low-budget individuals out of Riverside County, basically coming in, ransacking. We're able to get 6 in custody from that one, but we believe there's others. They started hitting again in December. We ended up having 9 burglaries in December. The last one, over off of Del Mar Trail, San Diego Road, over in that area, they got away with $250,000 in cash and jewelry. That one we believe definitely is a South American theft group. They strike between the hours of usually right around dinner and 9:30 p.m. They always go through the rear. They break in a window and they're in and out with usually 15, 20 minutes. On that one, so we're asking, what can we do, for something like that? I really firmly believe we would have caught those guys if you just done the basics. So they had a great security system there in place. However, there was a language barrier on that one. Asian Americans, they left a caretaker at the house. He became aware right when there was movement on the premises. So instead of calling 911 and telling us right over there, he goes over there himself to see what's going on. So by this time, they had already packed up and left. So there was about a 45-minute delay. That one, though, we did get some key evidence on that. And one of the things the volunteers help us with is they go out, check for cameras, knock on doors for witness checks. And that South American theft group, which is probably the biggest threat, that one is drawing nationwide attention. In Florida, they're called the tourist group. They're basically individuals that are here on tourist visas. They stay for a little while, they leave. It's drawn a lot of attention. Some of the things that we are doing is definitely proactive stops after hours. There's in certain key areas, checking individuals, vehicles that don't quite match what you normally see, and we're making those stops. However, these guys are pretty good. But we are taking those measures, and we're sharing a lot of information between us, the sheriffs just on the other side of our boundary just to the north. You have Carlsbad, who's been getting hit, and you go out east into Forest Ranch as well. So we are sharing a lot of information. There's several groups out there. They're very sophisticated, but we are working on that, and it's something I just want you to say some of the key success factors on why they're not hitting here. One is this: we come to a community meeting, we see a room filled like this, education, awareness, your great staff, and just doing the basics of the presence. If you need a security survey, Tom's group, our volunteers, they go out and they do those at the individual home. So if you'd like that, let us know. And or if you want to expand the group, Tom is also always recruiting. So if you want to come out and partner up, that's always on the table as well. That's it in a nutshell. Property crime is going to be the biggest threat to our area. The good thing is, since I've been here, we have not had any violent incidents other than over in Del Mar Heights with the high school kids there. Maybe some minor stuff there. I haven't seen any assaults, any robberies, things like that. So property crime is going to be the biggest threat. We can get into the weeds and some details with ongoing communication with myself, with John, with Tom. Reach out to Joe as well. And he has my cell phone number. I always answer 24/7. I actually am enjoying not getting woken up in the middle of the night. My last division where I worked, we led the city in homicides and violent assaults. So there's actually a relief here. But we got 9 burglaries in a month, which is a lot, definitely for this area. We definitely want to minimize that. So far in January, we're doing pretty good. But like I said, I don't want to hijack the meeting. Wanted to introduce ourselves, a little bit what I'm doing, some of the resources we're using with our volunteers. John, our community relations officer out here, is always available as well. So unless there's any specific questions, or if you want to hold those to the end, or. All right, well, let's keep up the good work, good partnership, and we'll keep our burglary rate at 0 for this community.
Thank you so much. One thing you didn't mention, though, is, you know, they only have 4 officers in our whole area, and that's, how many square miles is that? 44. 44 square miles, 4 officers at any given time. So there may be an opportunity at some point that we can communicate with the city of San Diego to at least petition that we get more officers in our area. We're concerned about the number here, and I think if we can help in any way, I think that'd be great.
That would be excellent. Yeah, any influence with our city council members would definitely be greatly appreciated. Yeah, keep in mind, we're competing with Pacific Beach is a big draw. You have down in the Gas Lamp downtown. Some of the more violent areas are getting most of the resources, but there's $250,000 on a theft. Is nothing. That's not a minor crime, and that's the biggest one. Some of the other ones have been very, very significant. And just the thought, and it gives me goosebumps just thinking, is somebody to invade your home? Luckily the people weren't there. There wasn't a confrontation, but anytime your home is invaded, that is a possibility. So yes, anytime you have somebody's ear in our local government, definitely spread that awareness. So yeah, go ahead.
I do have a question on the home invasions. Are you seeing that the invasions occur with people that have security systems armed or don't?
Some of the ones, like I said, that last one, it was perfect storm where we would have caught them. Had a great system. We definitely caught them on video coming onto the premises, going out of the premises. But the other ones, some of the other ones where they got away with them, I'd say half of them, great systems. They just weren't armed properly, or they forgot to. I guess there's a mode. They forgot to put it in the mode. I guess because if you leave it in a certain mode where you're home, it's not going to go off anytime with just simple movement. But if you set it to where nobody's supposed to be there, you leave town, and then that's definitely more effective. I'd say about half of them, they just weren't set properly. But some of the systems that you guys have out here are really, really good, and that's something that Tom and his team can help you with also, because they go out and assess a lot of that. John can help you out with that as well.
Just curious.
Yeah, no, you bet.
Great, thank you very much. We know you are You have to go maybe soon. So if you have to leave, that's fine.
No,
Otherwise-
we'll stay to the end.
Okay, there's food and stuff in the back.
And yeah, some questions may come up, so I'll stay to them.
Great, thank you very much.
Hello, good evening. Just some reminders, because Joe told me I usually get up here and talk too much. Is there anybody here that hasn't attended one of these, like the whole spiel that I've given in the past? I can give just one. So you guys have read it all in the past. One thing first, I think I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to the San Diego Police Department, just because ever since Captain Del Toro came over and took over the Northwestern Division, he's been totally awesome with us. We've requested patrol presence in the area, so if you see more black and white SDPD vehicles, that's because he's doing that for us, and that helps in deterring any potential crime. So it's great. Give him a round of applause, please, for having us. And with that said, I know it's on here a little further down, but I'm going to get into it first in terms of what we're doing to kind of prevent and help make Santaluz a harder target, not make it an easy target for some of these burglaries. And that's increasing our patrol presence on the perimeter of the community. So we designed this little thing called the Burglary Deterrence Tour. You might see some of our guys. I have gotten some complaints about our spotlight flashing into some homes, but you might see some of our guys in the perimeter just parked on the outside, looking into dark areas. We're just trying to show a patrol presence. So if anybody's trying to look or target a home in Santaluz, they'll say, hey, you know what? There's too much patrol activity here. Let's go to the next one. Not that we want to go to Fairbanks or Crosby, but we just don't want to. All right, so this year, or last year, 2022, we had 1.3 million vehicles enter Santaluz. That includes residents with transponders, permanent vendors with transponders, housekeepers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is a lot of vehicles. We're not, at the gate, we get a lot of calls. Why is this person coming through? Or why is that person coming through? If they're on the list, we're letting them through. It's up to the residents to know who they're allowing access to and who they're putting on their list. If somebody comes up, says, I'm so-and-so, he gives us a certain address, we type him up, he's in there, we're gonna allow that access. So please make sure that you keep close tabs on your guest list. Also, make sure you add people to your guest list. We get a lot of people that show up, they're not on guest lists. Then we call, and some residents are using it as well. I purposely leave them off the guest list so that you're my notification for when they arrive. That creates backups, it creates lines where officers might be in a hurry and a rush to get people through, and that's not what we want. We want to be security conscious, and we want to make sure that we're doing things appropriately. 85,000 on top of the 1.3 million vehicles coming through, 85,000 passes were issued. That's a guest or a vendor or a plumber, whatever the case may be. So that's another 85,000 cars on top of that. When you're having parties, everybody aware that there should be parties with more than 10 guests. You should submit a Form D to the HOA, informing them that you're having a party and providing a guest list. Is everybody familiar with that rule? Because that's what should be happening. So you have a guest list, you fill out the Form D 5 days prior, we put the guest list into the system. What's happening a lot now is people start showing up, they're not on the list, we call, I'm having a party, just let anybody in. So that is not good security practices. At the same time, am I going to tell you, sorry, you can't have a party, you can't let your people in. So we have to accommodate, we have to do what we got to do, but it puts us in a bad spot. So please fill out your Form Ds, notify us of your parties, give us a guest list. There's a couple of ways you guys can call in guests. You can call the gate at any time to add your guests to the list. You can use the Dwelling Live app, and that's probably the best way. Use the app, enter your guests. We can see that you have entered them. We have a little prompt that says that the resident actually entered them personally, and that is the quickest and most efficient way to get them added. When residents have a rental vehicle or you're in a vehicle that just doesn't have the transponder and you end up coming to the guest lane, new procedure before you've been asked, what's the first letter of your password? Or do you mind saying your password or writing it down? So the only option we're going to offer now is If you're accompanied in the vehicle, we're going to hand you a piece of paper and you'll write down your password. This is to protect the password so it's not compromised. If you're alone in the vehicle, then we'll ask you which password you can give to us because it won't get compromised. If you do feel, so anybody have teenagers in the household? No? Okay, there's a lot of people out there with teenagers in the household. So we see people come and say, oh, I'm going to such and such address, I'm a resident, this is the password. Like, really, what's your name? Then we look at the resident list, and they're not on there, so they're not residents. But teenagers are giving their teenage friends the password and the address and saying, come on in. So it's hard for us to always determine when that's the case. Sometimes we'll look, you know, you're not a resident, we'll call anyways, but those passwords are compromised and people are getting in. So if you do feel that it's compromised, give me a call, I can change it for you. Anybody here still have that old license plate bar that goes on the front license plate reader that nobody mounts, they just hold it out the window like this? Right, that allows you access to the gates. If you have those are being phased out. So at some point, by the end of the year, they should stop working. Please come to the north gate, Monday through Friday, between 7 and 2:45, and we can swap out that old license plate transponder with a nice new headlight transponder reader. You can't even see it. It's clear, see-through, it goes on the headlight, you can't even see it, and it works better than the license plate transponder. Okay, remember to lock and secure your homes. This goes back to what we were saying. We're trying to do is be more proactive on the perimeter of the community. But we do go on vacation checks. People are on vacation. Back doors are wide open. We have to call. Hey, you look, oh yeah, I forgot, we left the door wide open. But that becomes an easy target. You don't want to be an easy target. Please make sure that you help us keep you secure by locking your front doors, locking your windows, and just being safety conscious overall. Dogs off leash. That's another big one. Please keep your dogs on leash, and we don't do it often because we don't see it happening often, but picking up after your pets as well. Safety department can go out and issue fines for that. We don't see it very often, but we do see the aftermath. Please pick up after your pets. Posted speed limits and hold all questions about speed cameras and everything, because when I'm done, Joe's got something to say about that. But please abide by the posted speed limits. We continue to see speeding. I do have cameras out there. They are active. We're not issuing citations on them, but I review them regularly, and I still see quite an issue with speeding all over the place. Well, installed trash can and vehicles at. I'll let you take over on those two. Thank you.
Thanks, Javier. Anyone have a question for Javier? No? Okay. Next item is just recently we installed brand new LiDAR state-of-the-art speed cameras. And the way that those speed cameras operate is anybody that's speeding over 35 miles an hour will automatically receive a citation, hopefully within 72 hours. That's our goal at this point, so that you're aware that you are speeding. The board this year is taking an action, and some people have had like 15, 20, 30 tickets. I mean, really, they're really bad. But most people have only had one or two, and they really follow. Most people that get citations, only have about one or two. And they tend to slow down, be good citizens. What the board did this year is they said, look, let's start everybody fresh. So as of January 1st, everybody's reset at 0 warnings and 0 tickets for trash cans, for speeding, and for other citations. So we're starting fresh this year as of January 1st. So if you've had 10 tickets, you're down to 0. We thought that was fair because once you get 5 tickets, your speeding citation goes up to $500. So they felt that in all fairness, let's give everybody warnings. Let's let everybody know that we do have new cameras out there that have just been set up by the traffic logics engineers. And by the way, we are testing on a regular basis. We bought new testing equipment within our vehicles. So we're trying to keep everything as safe as possible within the community. Any questions about that? I won't go into any detail about anything. I just want everyone to be prepared. Yes.
I to add on to the staff gates, but I was wondering if we have guests come in and they remind them. I feel it's annoying to my friends that come to drive come in advance and drive go slow and see, but you know, for some of our guests, perhaps welcome this. So encourage them to follow us.
Yeah, we continue to try to put up different signs. We do handouts every once in a while. I think, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think on the pass we have a little statement about, and here, I mean, not that they pick it up and read all the small print on it, but we can definitely try and just kind of give a reminder. Please abide by all posts, speed limits as they come through. During the day shift, it's a little different. It's different because it's such a high volume of just deliveries and things of that nature. But definitely, you see the highest volume of guests after, say, 4 p.m. We can definitely try and give that reminder out.
I think historically, because we do take a look at who is speeding. Historically, it's been about 95% are homeowners. Really, about 5%, less than 5% is our vendors or guests. So guests, for the most part, do a pretty good job. What we do find, I would say 95% of all speeding is done within the community.
Thank you. Thank you again for having us here. My name is County Barba. I'm the account manager. So we're here to speak on organics, the mandate, how that affects, and when that will start for the HOA. We do have Alyssa here. She's our recycling coordinator. So she's gonna start off and talk to you a little bit about the actual mandate.
How many of you guys have heard about SB 1383? So, are you familiar with it? Confused by it? Want to know more? Would you like to know more? Yeah. So a lot of people probably not as focused on it as me and my team at Public. We work really closely with the city and the county, working with our contracts. Yeah, sorry. Is this better? Okay, I don't want to speak too loudly. Yeah, we work really closely with the city, and they tell us what we need to do, and we work with them on being compliant with state law and getting our customers into compliance. So SB 1383 or Senate Bill 1383, the official title, it's kind of a mouthful. It's California's Short-Lived Climate Pollutant Reduction Strategy. So yeah, and so basically the gist of it is that people in California, all residents, all businesses, everybody has to divert their organic waste, and which includes food and yard waste, from the landfill. And that also includes not animal carcasses, but bones and eggshells from your meals. And then for the yard waste, plant in small branches, yard trimmings, things that you find on your lawn or your yard. We are not accepting biodegradable. There's the small bags that you might line a kitchen caddy with. It says biodegradable, but our facilities don't accept them. They don't process them the same. They end up at the end of this cycle, there's compost, and then there's those bags. It doesn't exactly break down the same. It eventually in some facilities could, but in ours it will become trash. What you can do is wrap your food scraps in paper towels. You can layer yard waste so it doesn't get stinky. I've heard tips such as planting mint nearby your bin where you store it, or even adding it within the bin to keep bugs and pests away as a natural deterrent. Some things that we do not accept. Fats, greases, and oils from cooking, so like bacon grease. Yeah, that's my best example right now. But you get the gist. Fats, greases, and oils from cooking. Dispose of that in a different way. Don't put it down your drain. Don't think your plumbers will be very happy with that. Plastic and trash that the food waste is associated with. Recyclables that are clean. Paper, if it's clean, put it in recycling. don't use the green bin as a second recycling bin. Raw meat we don't want to accept. That is the only food waste item that we are not processing in our facility. Pizza boxes, animal droppings, clothing, trash are treated and painted wood. So that's kind of a lot, but we have all the information if you guys want to refer to it once you get your food waste bins or your organic waste bins. Yeah.
Are these going to replace the green waste or cans that we currently have?
No, you will be able to add food scraps into your yard waste bin.
If we only currently have a blue bin and a black bin, how are we going to process what you're talking about? Green stuff and yard, I mean, I don't know, home family too, we don't have perhaps the stuff that large families, a lot of landscaping have. So, how many bins are we talking about in our household? So we will roll out one container, and I think there's approximately 175 or 176 homes that do not have the yard waste containers. So we did bring the different size containers, 96, 64, and 32. So I'm assuming, you know, a lot of the homes, you'll probably want to go with the smallest size, which is the 32 gallon container. So you can let the HOA know what size container you would like delivered, so we can roll that out for you. We are shooting for an April 1st rollout, so as soon as we can get that information, would be great, so we can start doing that on the rollout for you. Yes.
And this is going to be picked up on a regular pickup day?
Correct. It'll be on the same service day as everything else. Yeah, trash, recycling, garbage.
And just one point of clarification. If you already have a green waste, do you need a fourth one?
No, you can mix your food waste and yard waste together in the same container.
What if you want to work on it?
Yes, just let the HOA know, and they'll let us know, and we'll get that out to you.
You have some recommendations for in the kitchen processing all this stuff, where buckets or containers to keep things in before it gets out there.
Yeah, we got some things on this today, so.
So we do have kitchen caddies available, but you don't need like this designated like caddy for it to work. I personally use like an old jar that's like kind of large. I empty it at the end of when I'm done cooking. I walk out to my container, dump it in, wash it out, and use it the next day. I know some people probably generate a little bit more and don't want to do that many runs to their bin. You can use any container, Tupperware. You can store it in the freezer if you have space. You can use like a paper bag, as long as it's not sealed up. No plastic bags, no biodegradable bags, compostable bags, but paper bags, like you get shopping, you can use that and just dump it in when you're done with your food. But we do have kitchen caddies built.
Yeah.
Send out oil.
Yeah, that's fine. Just as long as you're not dumping oil into your bin, it's just going to make it a mess, and it'll grease up our machines and our trucks, and yeah.
Questions?
Is there going to be additional costs?
Yes. I'm glad you brought that up, Joe. My favorite subject. Funny. Yes, so there will be an additional cost. So right now, all the yard waste is being taken to the Sycamore landfill where they have the greenery there, and that's located in Santee. So they do not accept the mixed material, and the city of San Diego has a composting facility as well too, and they've closed that to HOAs, businesses, everyone that's starting this new mandate. They just do not have the resources and the land to support this big undertaking. So Republic Services, we are an environmentally responsible company, so we did invest in our Otay landfill, which is down in Chula Vista. a solar powered composting site. So now we will be taking all your material here from Santaluz all the way down to Chula Vista. So there is a big cost involved due to transportation. Also, the facility, there's permits involved, special handling of this material, so it can be, composted correctly. So to answer your question, Joe, it will be an increase in cost.
We'll go through that in a minute. I'm not done with that.
Yeah. Okay. And just before we move on with the new composting facility, they have a really low threshold for any contamination. So unlike your recycling now, if the driver will see some incidental, trash in there, or you have your plastic bags in there, we're going ahead and taking them because at the recycling center, they have resources. They have people, that, take out the trash debris, and they actually have to transport it to the landfill to dispose of it. Well, since there's a low threshold for contamination, you'll probably notice some of these signs that we might post on your container that will let you know, hey, your organics container was contaminated. So you have a couple options, if you want to clean it out for your next pickup, or you can just go ahead and dump it in your trash since it's contaminated for your next pickup as well too, or have us pick up the whole container as trash as well. So you might notice these signs. Like I said, it's going to be a really low threshold for any contaminations.
Yeah, and so this tag was created actually because it's now in our agreement with the city of San Diego, as well as the county. Anybody, we did put some of these out in the county. These OOPS tags are a requirement with our contract. We have to monitor, make sure people are diverting their waste from the landfill, so we know that not only do you have the bin that you have available, but we're using it properly and it's not as contaminated. Yeah. But if you guys would like to look at it, there's a list of things that you've been flagged for, as well as there's a few more. But like for mixed organics, we listed like glass, food wrappers, plastic film, styrofoam, household hazardous waste, and then other things that I spoke on earlier.
Any more questions? Thank you, guys.
Great, thank you.
So next up is we're going to talk about some association stuff. Not a whole lot, but with that, I'd like to introduce Corey Showalter. This is our Director of Operations. Corey?
Good evening. It's nice to see everyone here tonight. I'm going to be reviewing some more recent community updates. As most of you have noticed, we have completed our re-landscaping projects at the north and the south gates. We've completed all of the Sentinel pod entrances except for pods 1, 2, and 3 on Santaluz Village Green South, and those are currently underway. The association has trimmed over 1,500 trees this year with our annual tree trimming program. We've completed our annual road resealing project, which included Northern Lights and Rockview Court. We have replaced all of the street identification signs and the posts. The signs are now reflective, which should help with visibility in the evenings. We're currently evaluating the Delphina and Caminito Camellia parks. A lot of people in Santaluz like string lights, market lights. We have identified, which aren't dark sky compliant. So we have identified market lights that are dark sky compliant, and we have samples of those down at our design review office. So we're hoping to get the word out to the community, and the club's also going to be modifying all of their string lights as well so that they're dark sky compliant. We are converting to a new pest control company in February. Our pest control tech Dorena will be transferring over to the new company. So those of you who know Dorena or utilize services individually as homeowners, she will be staying with us. And also the EQC completed their first annual preparedness fair in September, which was a huge hit, and we hope to continue to do it going forward. Not sure. Next slide.
You're there.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Regenerative land management, animal grazing. As most of you may have noticed, up in the neighboring community in Del Sur, sheep and goats grazing along the hillsides. SMA actually maintains 58 acres of brush management zone on the outskirts of the community, which creates a defensible space for fire. And we are considering looking into possibly incorporating the use of animals to maintaining our BMZs. So there will be more to come on that.
Anybody have any questions about the goats? No? The Delphina Park?
Yeah.
There's some,
Why are you reevaluating it? What are you looking at it for?
we're looking at all surfaces, the playground itself. Are we going to add something to it? Right now, the surface, the rubberized surface, we're looking at maybe changing that over, those types of things. We also do that in conjunction. You know, every year we actually hire a company to go out and evaluate all of the playgrounds to make sure that they're safe. So that's one of the areas we just want to look at. And then Caminito Camellia, some of that parkour stuff has just gone by the wayside. We're looking at, you know, are we going to continue that? Are we going to modify that? Are we, you know, are there enough people that even use it? I know there are half a dozen people that are pretty serious about using it, but does the half a dozen outweigh 100 that might want something else there? So there are other, you know, we're looking at some other possibilities. I think Corey was looking at maybe utilizing some of that area for demonstration garden, for some of the plant material. People don't understand what our plant material and palette are like. So maybe we want to do a demonstration garden in some of that area so people can see some of those plants. That was one of Corey's ideas, along with Mindy. So those are just some of the things that we're looking at there.
Thank you.
Thanks. The goat thing, I think, is pretty exciting. Pardon? Goat milk. As we get closer, we'll start getting people more involved with that. You know, we have to work that out in conjunction with our current contract with O'Connell. They've used it other places and it wasn't successful. This group here is successful. So we're looking at, you know, taking the best of all ideas as it relates to, you know, keeping things green. The other thing is, you know, it takes us about 4 to 5 months to do complete brush management around our surrounding community. I mean, 50 acres is a lot. So, and we have to do it within certain time periods because of the gnat catcher, you know, mating season. So, you know, we have lots of restrictions. So if we use goats, we think we might be able to get that done maybe in a month instead of 5 months. So there are other considerations, not only financial, but also what are the other benefits around the area. If we can get the city, we've been talking with the city as well, they're looking at the program to perhaps get a grant from CAL FIRE as a fire safety measure. And that grant hopefully will, they're looking at areas surrounding our brush management area just for that purpose. So if we can get everybody working in conjunction, we can do really neat things. I think the Russian thistle, the wild artichoke that is surrounding our area, they love that stuff, you know, and it would be nice to be able to eradicate some of that. Any questions about that? Goats are cool. Just wanted to give you a little update on real estate. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about real estate, what's going on with our community. Last year, we only had 35 closings. So that's down from 60 closings the year before and over 80 the year before that. So we're starting to see a trend downward. And a lot of that just has to do with the economy. We did see prices go up. We had an average this year of $4 million. That was the average selling price within Santaluz of those 35 units. And it went up about 100,000 from the year before. We think it's probably going to go down again, and I don't know how far it'll go down, but it will go down, and we're projecting at this point probably about 25 homes closing next year. That may not relate to a lot of people here directly. Indirectly, it does, because that 25 homes, that sale, you know, it reflects the amount of money that will be available for the community council and the events on a go-forward basis. We'll get into that a little bit later in just a few minutes, but for now, I just want everyone to know that there will not be as much money available for events as there were in the past. As far as the operation, our operation, it will remain the same. People want to know what our assessments cover, $550 a month. We put this up all the time. You know, water, landscape, security, your cable internet, your trash, reserves, and your staffing. That makes up the bulk of that $550. Go back to the reserves, $83. That $83 is a number that just goes into your reserve for future improvements. Some of our challenges this year, I think this is a big deal. I think everyone knows minimum wage went from $15 to $16.30. It's an 8% increase. It doesn't sound like a lot, except that most of the people that work for us in the service areas are in that category. So every time it goes up $1.30, everybody that's making $18 an hour now needs $19.30 an hour. So it just keeps going up and up and up and up. So we're going to start seeing increases requested by everybody across the board. I think everyone's already seen that. Health benefits, our health benefits increase this year was 19%. Last year was 7%. So it's gone from 7% to 19% this year. HOA insurance went up 10%. They think it'll be at least that 10% this year, and with everything that's happening with floods and everything else going on throughout the country, it will affect our insurance rates again this year. Material plants have gone up 10 to 20%. If anyone's bought plants lately or gone to Home Depot, the plants I used to get, 5-gallon plants for $9 or $10 are now $26. So it's affecting us. Trash, people wanted to know what's happening with trash. Well, essentially it goes from $27 a month to $40. That's the fact. So right away, you're going to see an increase of $13 on the monthly assessment probably next year, and that'll be factored into whatever else is going to happen. Potable water, it only saw an increase of 4%, but most of our water for our irrigation is now recycled water. It went up 22%. So we're hoping that that'll stay that way for another few years. But the nice thing is, if we were paying $7.20 per 100 cubic feet instead of the $2.22, I think you'd be seeing our water bills in the neighborhood of, instead of $500,000 a year, more like about $1.5 million a year. So I just wanted everyone to know we have a lot of challenges. Our goal is to try to keep everything as low as possible as far as the assessments, but the reality is this year it's going to be really difficult to not have some sort of increase. Any questions so far? Okay. What I'd like to do is introduce Santaluz Community Council. I'm not sure who's going to speak. Anne, are you going to speak? Chris, are you going to speak too? Come on up. Or Berna? Okay. Chris, I think you're
Vice President,
CFO. And Berna is the director. I think everyone knows Berna. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. So our mission statement, the mission of Santaluz Community Council is to promote the common good and general welfare of the people of Santaluz by fostering a unique sense of the Santaluz community through a variety of activities and philanthropic programs. STC is a community service organization which provides the following. In the area of communication, the Santaluz Life newsletter and the resident website, the community directory, the philanthropic programs such as Adopt a Star and Toys for Tots, and then your beautiful community events, the Summer Fling, the Fall Festival, and I just forgot the Summer Celebration, which is, this was our first, we're new, my husband and I, Rick, are new to the community. So we had our first exposure to your beautiful Summer Celebration this past year. The next slide, please. So how is the SCC funded? We are funded through your community enhancement fee, which you paid when you bought your home, or in our case, when we came, this was a resale, not for us, but for the homeowner. And that fee, that equation, is 1/4 of 1% of the purchase price of the resale. And Joe, thank you for leading in with the next unfortunate down part of our communication is due to the reduced house sales and the increased costs, which have been about 30% across the board between catering, staffing, that whole gamut. The SEC is going to have to reassess how many events we're going to be able to execute in 2023. We want to continue with our philanthropic endeavors. I hope in the newsletter that Stacia will be putting out, please take a look at that, because it was such an exciting time with Adopt a Star. And we had a representative that came from Children's Hospital. And there'll be beautiful pictures in the newsletter of all the gifts that you and that this community gave. And then there's a picture of the families wrapping those gifts. So thank you for all you do to support this community and the SCC. We've got big challenges ahead of us, but we've got a beautiful staff, beautiful board, and we'll be working for you.
Yes.
Will all of these slides be on newsletters?
The slides will actually be on the website effective tomorrow morning. And I just want to say thank you to Nick. Does everyone know Nick Cohenmeyer? Yeah. Nick has been he's just been gracious and is helping us video this as well. So we are planning on putting the video on the website as well. It will be available once he completes his editing. So I think between the two, I think everyone will have an opportunity to hear what was going on. With that, thank you everybody and have a good evening. Thanks again to San Diego PD. Enjoy, there's lots of good food and drink in the back. Thank you.